What's going on, guys? Super Savage 789 here, bringing you guys a video. Today we're doing What If Asuma Raised Naruto Part 2. In the last part, we covered how Asuma was able to convince the council to allow him to raise Naruto. Naruto grew up to become quite strong before even becoming a genin, and was even given his own set of trench knives. In the time after the Land of Waves, Sakura would begin training with Kurenai. She teaches Sakura quite a bit about genjutsu, making the pink-haired Kunoichi much stronger. Naruto would tell Asuma about what happened in the Land of Waves with that weird chakra, so Asuma decides to finally tell his son that he houses the Nine Tails. If he can learn to call upon that chakra at will, he'll become much stronger than he can on his own. So Naruto and Asuma will train together on their off time so Naruto can learn to activate Kyuubi chakra, as well as to learn to use his trench knives. Seeing both his teammates training makes Sasuke seek out training. Naturally, he'd go to Kakashi to begin his training, so Kakashi would begin teaching him the Chidori, as well as a lightning clone, which he'd end up learning before the tuning exams. Different relationships would also begin forming. Sakura would be hanging around Team 8 a lot more, meaning her and Hinata would probably become much closer friends. She'd learn that Hinata has a crush on Naruto, and would be happy for her friend, though she definitely has some jealousy there. Sakura would also interact with Shino and Kiba, and while they aren't as close as her and Hinata, they would definitely establish some sort of friendship. As for Naruto, he'd spectate Team 10 training and sees how they do teamwork. He would think that would be cool if he could do team moves. Then he remembers what his father taught him, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. So Naruto would try and teach himself different team moves using Shadow Clones, which would lead to some rather comedic scenes, yet some cool new techniques. The time for the tuning exams would come around. In the scene where Kankuro is picking on Konohamaru and his friends, Naruto would be even more annoyed, as that's his cousin. He'd punch Kankuro in the face and tells him not to mess with his Sarutobi. Kankuro would get back up and calls Naruto a brat, reaching to grab a scroll. Tamari stops him, telling him to remember why they're there. Kankuro merely asks Naruto's name, which he gives before the Sand Trio scurry away. Kakashi would ask his team if they want to enter the tuning exams, and naturally they say yes. When arriving at the exams, Lee would still challenge Sasuke to a fight, and then the written test occurs. All that goes the same for the most part, except Naruto doesn't make a massive spectacle, meaning he won't have a target on his back immediately. When entering, Naruto wouldn't go take a leak, so he'd be with Sakura and Sasuke when Orochimaru arrives. They'd all be hit by a genjutsu, it would all break out, using various methods that they have developed. As Naruto draws his trench knives, Sasuke activates his Sharingan, and Sakura leaps backwards. The fight will then begin with Naruto and Sasuke throwing everything they learned at Orochimaru, while Sakura uses genjutsus to distract him. The fight would ultimately reach its climax, with Sasuke rushing Orochimaru using a Chidori. Orochimaru would merely react, and give Sasuke a curse mark. Of how long the fight took, however, Orochimaru wouldn't have time to mess with Naruto's seal, so he'd merely flee with Anko on his tail. The duo of Sakura and Naruto take Sasuke away and begin tending to his injuries while placing traps around. It wouldn't take long for the Sound Trio to locate them. Naruto began fighting them using his Shadow Clones and his expertise. Lee would also show up and begin assisting Naruto in this fight. They'd be able to take the scroll from Dosu and make him flee before Sasuke can even awaken. When he does awaken, he'd be shrouded by dark chakra, but with no opponent, is quick to fade. Due to the relationship Naruto has with Team 10, they tag along with Team 7 to get to the tower, meaning Kabuto can never meet up with the gang. They would fight Oboro, but with Sakura's expertise in genjutsu, Oboro's squad would be photorized and destroyed. In the third part of the exams, some of the fights would change. Zaku's fight with Shino would be slightly different since his arm wasn't broken, but it'd still end the same, with Shino taking the dub. Sakura against Ino would be vastly different. Since Ino is Sakura's rival, she'd go all out using every genjutsu she possesses. Ino would be left in a confused state, trying her best to cancel genjutsu after genjutsu, not knowing what actually reality. In the end, Sakura would defeat Ino and knocks her out with a hard punch. Naruto against Kiba would of course also be different. This is not only due to Naruto being different, but also due to his and Kiba's rivalry. It means they'd be giving it their all, using every jutsu and every tool in their arsenal. Naruto may even use his Kyuubi chakra subconsciously, giving him an even greater amp. It would of course end up with Naruto winning. Choji would be more motivated to win against Dosu. This is due to him seeing how hard Naruto and Kiba fought, and since he has a rivalry with them, as well as Shikamaru. So when fighting Dosu, he'd use his full power and would be able to beat him. The finals roster would be announced, and for simplicity, we'll say that Sakura will be pitted up against Choji. Everyone would then leave to go and train. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Choji would all approach Asuma for training, but he'd refuse, shocking them all, especially Naruto. He states how he won't be able to choose out of the three of them. Besides, they all know what they should improve. Training with him could only slow that down. While disappointed, the trio all leave to go do training. Shikamaru and Choji would begin training with their fathers, where they would both improve their Hiden techniques. This would mean that they're both much more capable with their arsenal that they have, rather than learn anything new. Meanwhile, Naruto would run into Jiraiya, who offers to train him. Naruto is reluctant, and so Jiraiya tells him to try and attack him. If he isn't able to hit Jiraiya after 5 minutes, then Jiraiya will become his mentor. While this is a bit strange, Naruto agrees and charges the Toad Sage. Naruto uses everything he has, but Jiraiya dances around it, sticking his tongue out and acting like a child as he evades every attack, becoming Naruto's mentor. Naruto begins training with Jiraiya and learns the same things as in canon. I believe here though, Naruto will be able to use his whisker form at will, due to him constantly training to learn Kyuubi chakra. Sakura would head to Kurenai for training, who would naturally train her Genjutsu. She would help Sakura learn a new ultimate technique that will be able to defeat her opponents in the finals. Sakura would of course train with Kakashi. Since Sasuke already has the Chidori and the Lightning Clone, Kakashi doesn't have much clue on what to teach him. So he'd begin training Sasuke what he learned in the arm boot, giving him a sword to be in training with. So Sasuke learns to use a sword, and we could even see him learning the Headhunter Jutsu. Of course, the days of the finals arrive, with Sasuke still being late. The first fight would be Naruto against Neji, with Naruto trying to get the message across to Neji that he did in canon. Using his trench knife, he slashes Neji's eyes in a certain way to temporarily blind him, allowing Naruto to rush in and begin beating him up, giving him the same Tonk no Jutsu as he just defeats the Hyuga. After Kankuro forfeits Sushino, Shikamaru fights Tamari. Due to Shikamaru having much better mastery of his shadow skills, the fight would finish even quicker, meaning we can actually go to Sakura versus Choji. Choji would of course be gun-ho about fighting, charging at Sakura using his human expansion jutsu, making her continuously dodge using the substitution. She'd be struggling to think of a strategy as she quickly runs out of chakra, and so would begin thinking quickly, what does Choji love the most? Using as much chakra as possible, Sakura casts a Genjutsu on Choji, making him immediately stop in place. He sniffs around before opening his eyes to see mountains of food everywhere. His eyes get the iconic anime love hearts as he begins trying to comprehend what's happening. With him being off guard, Sakura just punches him in the face, which takes him out of commission as he's still left there in a dazed state. Sasuke would then arrive where he and Gaara begin fighting. It'd be cool to seeing Sasuke slash away Gaara's sand attacks and evade of Headhunter, but ultimately it ends the same, leading to Gaara fleeing and Sasuke going after him. Naruto, Sakura, Shikamaru, and Pakun begin chasing after the Sand Trio. It would of course be pursued by Sound Ninja, and Shikamaru just mentions how someone will have to stay behind. Naruto calls him an idiot and stops moving on the tree branch. He states that if they fight together, Pakun will keep the scent regardless, so it won't matter. Shikamaru and reluctantly Sakura stand with Naruto as Pakun hides somewhere. The Sound Ninja close in and are quickly taken out by a Genin group. Asuma would then arrive and helps dispose of the ninja around them. The four would pick up Pakun and continue moving, running to Shino about to fight Kankuro. Naruto activates his Kyuubi chakra and punches Kankuro square in the face. Tries to draw his puppets, but Shikamaru catches him in shadow possession. So Naruto knocks him out with an Uzumaki Naruto barrage, then takes Shino with him as well. They arrive to see Gaara slowly transforming as he fights against Sasuke. Sakura would cast the strongest Genjutsu she can onto Gaara, confusing him as he can't understand what's happening. Of course, Shukaku knocks him out of it, but it gives him enough time to rush in and get Sasuke out of there. Since they can't kill Gaara due to him being a military asset of the sand, they determine they just need to defeat him. The fight goes the same for the most part, except everyone working together makes taking down Gaara much quicker. Naruto would hit Gaara with a powerful Tonk no Jutsu, and then leaves with his siblings like in canon. And that's going to leave it here. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment below what's going to happen in the next part. If you liked it, why not hit the like button? It really does help out the channel. Subscribe for more content. This part 3 will be out soon. I didn't really like this part. I don't really like what I did with it. It's just a stronger Team 7. But, I have some interesting ideas for the next couple parts. So stay tuned for that. And, bye.